All right, now we're going to talk about how do you hang the flats. Now the flat is a 4x8 foot piece of cardboard on a 1x2 wooden frame, and it sits on the floor. It's attached to the ceiling just to keep it from falling over. But it sits on the floor so we don't put unnecessary weight on the ceiling. They say, well, they aren't that heavy. No, they aren't. But there's no reason to do that. Plus, if they're sitting on the floor, they aren't going to be banging back and forth. Now, to hang the flats, all necessary supplies will be in your blue room box. When you go into the room on Tuesday night, there will be two boxes in there, a blue one and a gray one. The blue is all your stuff. The gray one is all the stuff for the electrical and soundproof. So the first thing you do is tie the top of the stages, to the top of the flats together with, they're like 14-inch wire ties. And that's where the 1/4-inch holes are. And that's why you need the 1/4-inch holes. We tie every flat. Then we hang every other flat with 36-inch, and I will show you pictures of this, with 36-inch ties that go to a ceiling clip that hooks onto a ceiling T-bar. And I'll show you pictures of that. We just do those on every other one. Can you do it on every flat? I guess you can. But doing so does two things. It costs us a lot more money. They're very expensive, these 36-inchers. And it's twice as many to take down when you're trying to get out of here on Saturday night. You have to tie every flat together, otherwise they're just going to be swinging in the breeze. Plus, over hanging every other one, you know, something has to hold these up, and they're held up by tying them together. We do not tie them on the bottom unless it's absolutely necessary. If it's absolutely necessary, you will know it. Why don't we tie them on the bottom? Because you got to take them apart to take them down. So no reason to do it. Okay, so what does it look like? Here from the back side is a finished flat setup. And instead of the X's, they put S's on the back, but that's okay, it works. But here you can see the wire tie going up to a ceiling clip, and it's in the center of the flat. Good view of the gusset plates, incidentally. And here you can see the tie that holds the two flats together. And here's a bracket that's up for the ceilings, and we'll talk about that later. So tie every flat together, hang every other one using the ceiling clip. And this is a string that's hooked to the ceiling clip for the ceiling. We will talk more about that when we do ceilings, but there's a picture of it. Incidentally, if you start having problems with this string and it starts to pull the ceiling clip and it's sliding, just put it behind the other T. So there's something that holds it. Okay, the same setup, just a closer picture. Tie, notice the ends are cut off. There will be wire cutters in your box for them. Here's the ceiling tied and the ceiling string tied there, and the ceiling clip holding it on the T-bar. Now the ceiling clips. We have, over the course of buying them over forever years, there are three different kinds. One that looks like this. One that looks like this, which we don't like, we don't buy them anymore. And one which looks like a Christmas tree. Now if you get one like this, it doesn't work. Just push it back together and it will work. Now sometimes you want a ceiling clip right next to the end, and there's nothing to put it around. So what you do, you just take a pair of pliers and bend it. So now it looks like this. So then you can put it right in the T-bar that's right up against the wall. Now, discussion of room ventilation. The rooms are all ventilated the same way. There's no exhaust in the room. The exhaust for the building is in the corridors, and it pulls the air out through this vent. If you cover the vent, the room will be almost unbearable. Trust me, I put up the first ceiling, I covered the vent. Housekeeping told me that's not going to work very well, and it did not. So now, when you put up the flats go around the room. Incidentally, we recommend, if you look at your diagram that I showed you that from the Bible, it shows how the room is laid out. A typical room layout is the stage back here against this wall and the bar back here. And the reason for that is the customer comes in through this doorway. So there's the bar kind of out of the way, and there's the entertainers. If the entertainer is here and the bar's back there, everybody is walking in front of the entertainers. So the entertainer's back there, the bar over here. So start decorating the room from a corner at the stage corner and work around the room. 2 crews works very nicely. And meet in the back. Now, I'm going to walk around to the back of the room and show you. As the flats come around to the back, they go by this heating unit. There's one of these in every room. As the flat comes by the heating room, the heating unit, the flat's coming down alongside the wall, you now have a gap. And that is very, very good, because that gap allows you to reach in and open the window. Now the picture is a little bit different because the windows have been changed out. But you can get back here and open this window and cool the room down between shows. You can't leave it open because the lady sitting right here is going to complain. But you can open it briefly. It's very important that you not go home at night until you're sure the windows are closed. Otherwise, the school security is vacated. Okay, now I'm going to move back up to the front and we'll talk about these pictures. So, a very elaborate set, the wall coming down against, the flats coming down against the wall, and the flats in front of the radiator and the gap. What do? You just put a piece of wood or a piece of wire, anything across the top of the gap, and hang some of your ceiling crepe paper. And now you can reach right in there. So here's the picture, the radiator reaching right in to get to the window. Now, the new windows are going to make that reach a little bit longer. But that's okay. If the flat is there, you can reach behind it. The flat will swing out a little bit, open and close the window. The students will put your flats and stages in the room beforehand. And they will try and put these stages where they end up. But I wanted to show you a picture of what's a stage look like. It's a 4x8 sheet of plywood on a 1 foot high base. And you can see, you can look underneath them. Okay? One other thing while I got it, there'll be piano or a keyboard there. It's very good to have something to put over them. A piece of plastic is okay, but there's not much cushion to it. I guarantee you that stuff will be set on top of it. No matter how much I knew not to do it, I invariably did it myself. It's just so convenient to set something on it. So try and protect them. These things are all loaned to us, and we don't want to have to buy one because it got all scratched up. Now, they get in your way sometime where they're at. They have to be moved. Lift them up because the spin, not off the floor, but take a little bit of weight off the front because the spindly legs break very easy. And when you put the stages up, we should tie the stages together in the front. Okay, now the other thing is, we will undergo a fire inspection at 1 o'clock on Thursday. And I'll show you the results of one. But one of the things we have to have is a fire exit sign. And it has to be by the door. Now we have some newer signs that are red letters on white, much like the signs, the electrical ones you see in buildings. If you get one of those, you can put it above the door. That's an ideal place for it. If you get one that's got an arrow on it, put it next to the door. If the arrow's pointing the wrong way, just turn it upside down. The other thing is, there are only, in many rooms, there are only 2 electrical outlets. One over here and another one on the other side. So the room light bars will be plugged in on the side. There's no on-off switch, so you have to unplug them. How do you get to them? You get to them by cutting a hole in the flats. So, if this is a flat, and it's going over the receptacle, you cut an inverted U. No, you cut a U. Make it cut like that. And the bit is now, you can stick your finger underneath it and lift it up. And that will expose the receptacles, and you can plug the plugs in and unplug them. And when you're done, the flap will fall back down. And so basically, it goes out of sight. Now, can you just cut a hole out? Yeah, and people have done that. My belief is you go through all this effort to decorate the room, and then you cut a hole in it. What do people see? They see the hole in the flat. So anyhow, a simple U works very easy. Hopefully, you will have some flats that already have a U in there, and if you put them in the right place, you may not have to cut anything. Same thing happens over here for the light switches. Exact same thing. Now, let's talk about room doors. And here's a room that has the built-in furniture. See the furniture here? And this is a flat next to the furniture. And then this is the same room looking in. So this is looking into the room, and this is in the room looking out. Here again is something that a room did that I thought was particularly clever. For the built-in furniture, how do you cover the built-in furniture? The built-in furniture is good because you can leave coats and purses and stuff on it. Recognize now there's going to be 3,000 people in here. And don't say I can leave my purse with my billfold in it and nothing's going to happen to it. So far it never has, but we don't want to find out the hard way that there was a thief in the place. So I don't recommend doing that. But anyhow, coats and stuff in there. This is just some of the 2-inch crepe paper that the students use for decorating the hallways, and a piece of ceiling paper covered the whole thing and took it out of sight.